Hey, Magic friends, welcome back. This is your captain speaking here on Captain Clyde's MTG. And boy, we got a doozy today. March of the Machine Leaks are on the loose. We've got 61 of them today from a recap of Wednesday, the 29th, right? Wednesday, 29th. Yeah. Anyway, what is the day? Yes, the 29th of Wednesday. 61 card leaks, lots of new mechanics, sieges, and all that good stuff. We got a lot to go over, so I'm just going to jump right in, but don't forget to subscribe to help support the channel. Here we go. Let's roll them. Starting off, we have the Incubator. So this is a token in New Phyrexia. I'm sorry, March of the Machines. They talked about having a morphing token. This is it. As you can see, it comes in as this, and then for 2, you could transform this artifact into an actual Phyrexian. So how do you get one of these? Well, pretty simple. You start with something like this. So here we have Merciless Repurposing. So for 2 black and 4, it's an instant. You exile target creature, and then you incubate 3. So you create an incubate token with 3 +1/+1 counters on it, and the 2 that transforms it from an artifact into a 0/0 Phyrexian makes it a 3/3 Phyrexian. So, as we go through this, whenever you see something that says incubate 3, for example, that means when you pay the extra 2, you're going to get a 3/3 Phyrexian. So, pretty cool mechanic. Let's keep this train rolling. Next, we have the Joyful Storm Sculptor, red, blue, and 3 for a only 2/3 though. When he enters the battlefield, you create 2 1/1 blue and red elemental creature tokens, not too shabby. Whenever you cast a spell that has Convoke, Joyful Storm Sculptor deals 1 damage to each opponent and each battle they protect. So we'll get into battles later. We talked about those in some of the other videos. But basically, you damage battles just like you would damage a Planeswalker. But we'll get into what battles look like later. Um, so, not too bad. You get a basically 4 power and 5 toughness for 5. That is not bad. Plus with a special ability, but it's probably only going to be good and limited. Just saying. Or Commander. Next we have Hoarding Bloodlord. This bad boy looks hoss. So for 3 black and 5, he's a 7/6 with Convoke and flying. So when he enters the battlefield, search your library for a card, exile it face down, then shuffle. For as long as the card remains exile, you may play it. Spells you cast from exile have Convoke. If you don't remember what Convoke was, it's a pretty neat mechanic where you may tap things of the same color to pay for the cost. So, for example, if you had 8 black things on the field, you could tap all 8 black things and put this out for free without mana. Now, that's not going to happen too often, but if you start thinking about Convoke as in you play a black weenie deck, turn 1 you lay a swamp and a 1/1 creature for 1 black. Next you play another swamp and then 2 more 1/1 creatures for 1 black apiece. That's technically 5 toward this dragon, just 3 more and you can cast it. Now, it's not that simple, but that's how it's going to go. And with a lot of tokens out there, when you start token convoking, oh boy, this is going to be a powerhouse in limited and probably commander. Next, we have the Fairgrounds Trumpeter, green and 2 for a 2/2 beginning of each end step. If a +1/+1 counter is put on a permanent under your control this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on the Trumpeter. Decent common, probably going to be okay in limited. Going to go straight into those weird doubling season decks. Next, we have the Ruins Recluse. So we have a green and 1 for a 1/1 Reach Death Touch. We're really getting out there now. And for a green and 3, put a +1/+1 counter on it. This is the epitome of sealed bombs. It's a reach death touch, so for 2 mana, you get a 1/1 creature that can kill anything coming your way, unless it has like Menace or some silly crap, but then you still just double block. But anyway, plus it can get bigger in the late game. This is going to be a sealed all-star. Past that, maybe not. Next we have Seer of Stolen Sight, black and 2 for a 2/3 with Menace, not too shabby for limited. Whenever 1 or more artifacts and or creatures you control are put into the graveyard from the battlefield, surveil 1. Hey, Surveil is back. Look at that bad boy. That'd be pretty good. We might actually see some Surveil decks come out into Commander. This is at best a limited player. Next we have Phyrexian Pegasus. That just sounds disgusting. Anyway, white and 2 for a 2/2 flyer. Already good rate when it attacks. Another target creature attacking without flying gains flying. So this is your basic common. to help you go over the top to your opponent, a limited all-star by every stretch of the imagination. Next we have the Zephyr Winder. So a blue and 1 for a 2/1 flyer, great rate. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, untap up to one target creature. So this thing has pseudo vigilance. It's basically meaning you can punch somebody in the face with it and untap it. This can also be good with other things like mana dorks and what have you. But you're going to have to really try some synergies really hard. This is probably a pretty good card in some of those commander decks, but definitely a limited player probably. I mean, 2/1 flyer for 2, who wouldn't want that? All right, referee squad. What? Anyway, we got a bunch of homoculuses for a blue and 2. It's a 2/2 that convokes. And here it actually tells you what Convoke is. Your creatures can help you cast this spell. Each creature tapped while casting this spell pays for 1 colorless or 1 mana of the creature's chosen color. 2/2 Vigi. When Referee Squad enters the battlefield, tap target creature and opponent controls and put a stun counter on it. This is definitely a blue limited all-star. Stunning something for 2 turns so that nobody can hit it or untap with it so that you can then hit them with this. There's a whole bunch of hitting going on. We'll just say that. Next, we have an Axgard Artisan. So for a red and 1, you get a 2/1. Man, these cards are getting good. Whenever one or more +1/+1 counters are put onto the Artisan for the first time each turn, create a treasure token. Again, more doubling season. All over it. Just doubling season me. So it's going to be a great card for limited probably. Next we have Interdisciplinary Mascot. Whew, that's a word. 2 blue and 6 for a 5/5 rare with Convoke. Ward 3, good God. And there's more. Whenever it enters the battlefield, look at the top 4 cards of your library, put one of them in your hand, the rest on the bottom of the library in a random order. This is going to definitely be a limited all-star, probably pretty good in Commander, I'm not going to lie, especially in those blue decks. I'm sure there's one out there that can use this. Don't think it's going to see a whole lot of play in Standard unless we see another mono blue thing creep in. Because I'm not going to lie, laying this thing on like turn 4 and making a 5/5 ward 3 that puts a card in your hand seems pretty good. All right, moving on. Next we have the Injector Crocodile. That just sounds wrong on so many levels. Anyway, 2 black and 4 for a common. It's a 5/5. When it dies, incubate 3. Haha. Oh, and swamp cycling. You can discard this for 2 mana to get a swamp card and put it into your hand. This, again, another great card for limited and maybe even for commander because, hey, who doesn't like to go get land? Just saying. Next we have Terror of the... Hang on, let me go back one. I got to say this. Living End. You think it's going to be a Living End card? Living End. Living Death. Living End. Living Death. Both. Anyway, point being, moving on. So, Terror of Tawasi. Boy, they're running out of names here. Just they're starting to throw syllables together. 2 black and 2 for a 4/3 with Death Touch. Okay. Whenever it attacks, you may pay a black and 3. When you do, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. It's a fraction additional to other types. That is disgusting. Notice it also doesn't say exile this card if it would die again. You just do this every time. So this is Gravedigger on crack. That's how I'm going to lay that one out there. And it's got Death Touch, so it doesn't matter if you're going to swing into something you know is going to kill it. It's killing it too. So, yeah, this seems to be a pretty good card. And I think it might even see some standard play at the rate. Definitely great for Commander and limited. Woo, doggy. Going to be all up in there. All right, we have the Zalfirian Lancer. White and 2 for a 3/3. Whenever a knight enters the battlefield under your control, the Lancer gets +1/+1 and vigilance to end a turn. I mean, okay. I mean, it's going to be great for limited if you can get a bunch of knights, but just kind of seems okay. Next we have Surrak and Goreclaw, 2 of the 2 people that should definitely be on the same card. Now, 2 black and 4. This team up human bear is a 6/5 with trample. Other creatures you control have trample. Whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on it. It gains haste. This is definitely Surrak and Goreclaw together. And if we don't get a card of Surrak punching somebody, there's somebody needs fired at Wizards. But anyway, moving on. So next we have Ortharian, Hero of Lavabrink. So for red and 3, you get a 3/3. Legendary creature, human soldier, red and 1, tap, create a token that's a copy of another creature you control. Oh god. It gains haste, sacrifice it, gain your next instant, activate only as a sorcery. Okay, well at least it's only a sorcery, so you can't go ham, and it's legendary like you can with Kiki Jiki. But anyway, 3 red and 6, tap, create 5 tokens that are copies of another target creature. Never mind. They all gain haste, sacrifice them. Yeah, this is going to be a problem in every format. Probably not standard just because of the cost. Especially with Kiki Jiki floating around, this might be hard to press to see play. But Commander guys, I can hear you drooling in the background. Calm down. So, moving on. Next we have, here we go. All right, so this is a siege, guys. So, quick rundown. You can see here it says 5. This is the casting cost. So, you cast it for a white and 2. It goes into play. As it enters the battlefield, an opponent is chosen to protect it. You and others can attack it. When it's defeated, you exile it and cast it for the transform cost. Now, if you're playing 2 people, you would play this. Your opponent has to protect it. Once you deal 5 damage to the siege, this is what this point is right here, it gets flipped. Now, when it comes into play for 3, it enters the battlefield. You gain 4 life and draw a card. Not bad for white, because white's always known for drawing cards. Anyway, so that's not bad. But if you manage to kill it, you get a free 4/4 Flying Vigilance Angel. You get a free Serra Faithkeeper. Basically, Serra Angel for 3. Now, with that being said, you have to attack it to kill it or do damage straight to it. Not all that hard, but still a little bit of a restriction. So that's how these work. These sieges are going to probably be limited to All-Stars and Insane. And some of these, especially like this one, are probably going to definitely see some standard play. And they might even make it into Eternal formats depending on how out of hand they get. But let's see what we come up with. All right, so next we have the Crag Smasher Yeti, 2 red and 4 for a 4/2 Mountain Cyclone. Love it. Mountain Cycle. And then backup 2, what's this? So when this creature enters the battlefield, put 2 +1/+1 counters on target creature. If that's another creature, it gains the following ability until end of turn, which is trample. This is so confusing. Yeah, so basically, you can for 6 mana you can make a 6/4 trampler, or you can make a 4/2 trampler and put 2 counters on something else and give it trample. Interesting. It's got a lot of play for limited. I think this is probably a bit too much for any other format, but if we see backup or something like that on some cheap cards, ooh boy, this could get interesting. All right, so next we have Grafted Butcher, black and 1 for a 2/2. When it enters the battlefield, Phyrexian you control gain menace. Other Phyrexians you control get +1/+1. Up, called it. Phyrexian Lord. Black and 3, sacrifice an artifact or creature. Return the Butcher from your graveyard to the battlefield. Activate only as a sorcery. That's a bit much. Nothing like pulling lords out of your graveyard. That's going to be so overpowered. Not the fact that it's just a lord, just the fact that it comes out of the graveyard for 4. And it's not legendary, so you can just dump all 4 in your graveyard and just start hamming these things out. This thing's going to see a lot of play. 2 mana for a 2/2. Standard good. Limited good. I mean, probably Commander good. I'm sure somebody wants to make a Phyrexian deck. I'm sure there's some sick people out there. Anyway, moving on. Next we have Invasion of Tarkir. So we have another siege. This one is a red and 1 for 5. When it comes in, you reveal any number of dragon cards from your hand. When you do, Invasion of Tarkir deals X plus 2 damage to any other target, where X is the number of cards revealed this way. X can be 0. So this is basically 2 mana shock or more. And if you happen to kill it, you get a 4/4 flying trampling. Whenever a dragon you control attacks, deal 2 damage to any target creature. Defiant Thundermaw. This is absurd blatantly absurd as a siege. This could go straight into Red Rush or Mono Red in Modern. 2 mana is not hard to do, and getting a 4/4 flying trampling, deal 2 damage when you swing to any target, which could be the opponent, and its removal, and it says deal damage to any other target. This is going into Mono Red, and this is badonkers. Yeah, and in Mono Red, 2 spells to get a 4/4 flying, trampling, punch you in the face because I can. Seems like a thing. Anyway, moving on. Busted. All right, Chrome Host Seed Shark. Blue and 2 for a 2/4 flyer. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, incubate X, where X is that spell's mana value. This is disgusting. Um, yeah, so this is Shark Typhoon Phyrexian style. And it's 3 mana, but it's killable because it's a creature. Still very abusive. This is going to see play in Standard, Commander, Limited, maybe Eternal formats because 3 mana is not that rough for what this thing does. Good God. Yeah, that's a thing. So, moving on, Voldaren Thrillseeker. Uh, red and 2. What kind of thrill is she seeking? Anyway, moving on. For a 1/1 with backup 2. So, you could put 2+1/+1 counters on her to make her a 3/3. Um, and she has the ability, 1, sacrifices creature, it deals damage equal to its power to any target. You could put the +2/+2 counters on something else and use that to kill something by sacrificing it. Very interesting card. I don't think it's going to see a whole lot of play, but it's definitely a very interesting card to put into Aristocrats builds that are kind of red-black where they like to sack creatures. Very, very interesting. So, moving on. Next we have Baral and Kari Zev. Red, blue, and 1 for a 2/4. First strike and menace. And there's still more, and that's amazing already. So whenever you cast your first instant or sorcery spell each turn, you may cast a spell with lesser mana value that shares a card type with it from your hand without paying its mana cost. If you don't, create a first mate, Ragavan, a legendary 2/1 red monkey pirate creature token. It gains haste till end of turn. This is disgusting. Yeah, so either you get to play stuff for free or make 2/1s for free. This is going to be all over probably Eternal formats. Because 3 mana is not too much for what this bad boy's been doing. Modern, Commander. This is probably going to see Standard play because this is just absurd how much this thing does. So, moving on. Next we have Rankle and Torbrand. Boy, you never thought you'd see two so alike cards. Anyway, so 2 red, 2 black, and 1. So 5 mana for a 3/4 with flying, first strike, and haste. And there's more. When Rankle and Torbrand deal combat damage to a player or battle, choose any number. So you can do all these if you want. Each player creates a treasure token. Each player sacrifices a creature. If a source would deal damage to a player or battle this turn, it deals that much damage +2 instead. Boy, I never thought I'd see a fairy dwarf. That's just wrong on so many levels. Anyway, moving on. Next we have Zurgo and Ojutai. That is not who I thought would be riding Ojutai. Anyway, we got red, white, and blue colors with 2 for a 4/4 flying haste creature. That's insane. It has hexproof as long as it enters the battlefield this turn. It's also good. Whenever one or more dragons you control deal combat damage to a player or battle, look at the top 3 cards of your library. Put one of them into your hand, the rest on the bottom in random order. You may return one of those dragons. Put one of them into your hand, the rest on the bottom of your library in random order. You may return one of those dragons to its owner's hands. Oh, so you can just pick stuff up and relay it. This is literally Zurgo, Helm Smasher, and Ojutai in one card for just 5 mana. This is absurd. Yeah, this is probably going to see a whole lot of play in Standard as people start making America decks with this as a kill spell. Moving on. Next we have, a Monastery Mentor reprint. What? White and 2 for a 2/2 with prowess that spits out 1/1 white monks. Man, this $30 or $40 card is about to come down in price real quick. But hey, it's expensive. It's a good card to reprint. I'm not going to downplay it. Welcome home. Oh, this being back in Standard, by the way, is going to be absurd. Not to mention, limited in general. Next we have Invasion of Ikoria. So 2 green and X. We have a Siege of 6. When it enters the battlefield, search your library and or graveyard for a non-human creature card with a mana value X or less. Put it into the battlefield. If you search your library this way, shuffle. This is disgusting because then if you deal 6 to it, you get an 8/8 reach for each non-human creature you control. You may have that creature assign its combat damage as though it weren't blocked. Yeah, more cards to put into the absurd ramp decks to make big nappies. This is going to be great in Commander. And if there's a ramp deck in Standard, you better best believe this thing's going to be hitting the battlefield. So, moving on. We have Invasion of Ravnica. Why is this colorless? Never mind. So 5 colorless, you get a Siege with 4. When it enters the battlefield, exile target non-land permanent and opponent controls that isn't exactly 2 colors. Boy, is that specific. But still a 5 mana colorless. This is what Phyrexian and colorless decks have been looking for. Removal spell. And if you happen to kill it, you get a 5/5 whenever you cast a spell that's exactly 2 colors. Look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal a card that's exactly 2 colors from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of the library in random order. That's very interesting. I mean, I'm sure it's going to see play somewhere. Just God knows where. I mean, Commander, obviously, because this is just bonkers. Anyway, moving on. Next we have Invasion. What? Tolvada? What the heck? Where the heck is this at? Is this like Innistrad? Anyway, moving on. White, black, and 3 Siege of 5. When it enters the battlefield, return target non-battle permanent card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Oh, goody. A battle that resurrects. This is just, I'm sure this can't go wrong. Once you deal damage to it, creature tokens you control get +1/+0 and have lifelink. At the beginning of your end step, create a 1/1 white and black spirit creature token with flying. Yeah, that's not absurd at all. Not one bit. This is definitely going to see play in standard and commander, but might be about it. That 5 casting cost might be a bit rough. Moving on. Now we have Transcendent Message. That's a lot of blue. There's that 4 blue card. So 4 blue and X, instant. Draw X cards. It has Convoke. Yeah, so probably not going to be as good as you think. Only because you can only Convoke with creatures. So yeah. However, Commander's just fine with this card. And who knows, if there is that mono blue deck we were talking about, that this could get very interesting very quickly. Next we have the Sword of Once and Future, if that makes any sense to you guys. But we have our final sword. So 3 colorless for a sword that says equips for 2 to give a +2/+2 protection from blue and black. Whenever equipped creature does combat damage to a player, surveil 2. Dun dun dun. And then you may cast an instant sorcery spell mana value 2 or less from your graveyard without paying its mana cost. If that spell would be put into your graveyard, exile it instead. It makes everything kind of snappy. Get it? Snappy? Snapcaster? Anyway, this is an amazing sword. Going to be high price. And it's just going to be good. It's just protection from blue and black. That's definitely a thing. Surveil 2 and then cast 2 or less from your graveyard. Definitely a thing. This has modern written all over it. Well, actually, even maybe any Eternal format, really, if you're playing Stoneforge Mystic. Yeah, like this is your jam right here. One of these. So, moving on. We have the Guardian of Ghirapur. So white and 2 for a 3/3 flyer. That is an amazing rate. When it enters the battlefield, exile up to 1 other target creature or artifact you control. Return to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. This is nuts. This is the perfect blink spell because not only does it blink your permanents, it's also a 3 mana 3/3 flyer. So if you can't blink anything, it doesn't matter because you still get a 3/3 flyer for 3. So good in limited, great in commander, probably going to be good in standard. If it had flash, it would just be busted. But this is definitely going to be a good card. So next we have Glissa, Herald of Perdition. Why do we keep getting Glissas? Anyway, this one is a black. We can make Glissa decks. Anyway, a green, black, and 3 for a 3/5 at the beginning of combat on your turn. You can incubate 2 twice. That sounds wrong on so many levels, but still good. Transform all incubated tokens you control. That is amazing. Or Phyrexians you control gain first strike and death touch till end of turn. That is also good. This is going to be a commander card. Long and short of it. I'm just going to leave that right there. And in limited, this is going to kill everybody. Anyway, moving on. We have an Elesh Norn flip card. That's right. We have a very interesting thing going on here where we have cards that flip, become sagas, and come back. So, for example, Elesh Norn. 4 mana, 2 white and 2 for a 3/5 Vigi Elesh Norn. Whenever a source an opponent controls deal combat damage to you or permanent you control, that source's controller loses 2 life unless they pay a colorless. Already good. And for a white and 2, sacrifice 3 other creatures, exile Elesh Norn, then return to the battlefield, transform under its owner's control, basically turning it into the saga, which is the Argent Etchings. 1, incubate 2, 5 times. Good God. Then transform all incubate tokens you control. Oh, so you just get 5 2/2s. Creatures you control then get +1/+1 and gain double strike in a turn. That's not busted either. Now you have 5 3/3 double strikers. And then finally, you destroy all other permanents except for artifacts, lands, and Phyrexians. Exile it and return this to the battlefield. This is nuts. This is going straight into all the mono white weenie decks because you can get 3 creatures relatively easy, and the backside of this is just bananas. This thing's going to be $30, $40 easy. This is going to be in every format, maybe even some of the eternal formats, depending on how the formats are shaped. 4 mana, yes, is a lot, but for what this thing does in white, wow, it's amazing. Moving on. All right, now we have Polukranos Reborn. It's Palooka Daddy. Oh no, he's got to be completed. Anyway, so Polukranos for 3 green, you get a 4/5 with reach, because that sounds fair. That's perfectly fine. For a white, it's for extra mana, who cares? And 6, you can transform it to a Polukranos Reborn, which is then a reach lifelink 6/6 whenever Polukranos, Engine of Ruin, or another non-token hider you control die. Create a 3/3 green and white Phyrexian Hider creature token with reach and a 3/3 green and white Phyrexian token with lifelink. Oh, so it's just Wurmcoil Polukranos. No. This thing is wrong on so many levels. It's 3 green for a 4/5 with reach. Yes, it's legendary, but for the love of God, please. Yeah, this is going to be good and abused in so many decks. Not to mention mono green in like Pioneer. This is right up their alley. Just they're salivating in the background building decks around this already. Anyway, moving on. Next we have Quinturios Loremaster, the legendary creature Elvic Cleric that, if you didn't watch the story, became a Planeswalker. Is a legendary creature that for a white and red and 3 is a 3/5 Vigi. Beginning of your instep, exile target non-creature, non-land card from your graveyard. Make a 3/2 red-white spirit creature token. Very Strixhavenish. Forgot what the set was called. And then for a white, red, and 1, you can tap it, sacrifice a spirit, choose target card, exile with Cornus. You may cast that card this turn without paying its mana cost. Oh god. If that spell we put in the graveyard this turn, but the bottom is on your library instead. Okay, this is dumb. There's so much shenanigans going on here. I don't even know where to start. Basically, at the beginning of your instep, you literally can start your instep, exile your time walk, and then for 3 mana, tap this, sacrifice a spirit you just made, cast your time walk for free, put it on the bottom of your library, rinse and repeat with anything you want. Mainly a commander card, just saying, but in limited, really good. Might have a place in standard if we get lucky. But the shenanigans with this and Commander are just off the hook. Next we have Stoke the Flames. Oh, look at this bad boy getting a reprint. 2 red and 2. Convoke. Deals 4 damage to any target. For those of you who don't remember this bad boy, this was out when the Goblin decks were around. When for 3 mana you could make a 2/2 Goblin that when it would at the beginning of your instep or your beginning of your attack would make another 1/1 Goblin, which would then allow you to convoke this for free, tapping both your creatures and your other creatures you had, so they would not swing into something and die while still dealing 4 damage to any target. This is an amazing reprint. We'll definitely see standard play. Seeing a lot of standard play last time, it will definitely see it again. Other than that, it hasn't seen any play anywhere else, but this is going to be an amazing add to standard and limited. All right, Borborygmos and Flibblethip. Really? Look at that little fella right there. Look at that little fella. He's so cute. All right, so red, blue, green, and 2 for a 6/5. Pretty good rate for a Cyclops Homunculus. Boy, that's saying a lot. Anyway, like the name isn't. Whenever this thing enters the battlefield or attacks, draw a card, then you may discard any number of land cards. When you discard one or more cards this way, it deals twice that amount of damage to target creature. All right, blue and 1. You may put it into the owner's library, 3rd from the top. I just don't know what to say. I'm really confused on how this works. It's gonna be fine for limited. I don't think it's gonna see play past that unless it's in some kind of weird eternal combo deck. But even then, 5 mana for what this does, I don't think it does enough. You only draw 1 card. Like, you're gonna have to I mean, it's another Barbarigmos for the Barbarismo combo deck, 10 fins or whatever you want to call it. Or, I don't know. I have mixed emotions about this thing. Anyway, moving on. All right, we have the Realm Breaker, the Invasion Tree, finally, legendary artifact, 3 colorless. 2 mana you tap. Target opponent mills 3 cards, put a land card from their graveyard onto the battlefield tapped under your control. It gains if this land would leave the battlefield, exile it instead of putting it anywhere else. So that's disgusting. Just steal your opponent's lands and just never get them back. Notice it says mill 3 cards and then put a land card from their graveyard, not of the 3, of any of them. Now for 10 and tap, sacrifice Realm Breaker, the Invasion Tree, search your library for any number of Praetor cards, put them on the battlefield and shuffle. Oh, Commander, Commander, Commander. Somebody build this and just go hog wild. Oh my lord. Yeah, the Commander scene is going to make this card like $5, $10. This should have been a Mythic just because of the silliness it's going to cause. But past that, probably won't see a whole lot of play, honestly, just because it's a little absurd. But to be honest, 3 mana and just milling your opponent and steal their land, it's not terrible. I've seen worse. We'll say that. All right, next we have the Alabaster Host, Sacrificer, Sanctifier, whatever. White and 1 for a 2/2 lifelink. Basic, good, common for limited. Next we have Negate Reprint. Oh, look, Johnny has been negated. I wonder if that means they're going to save him. Negates a blue and 1 counter target on creature spell. Teferi gave them time. Karn gave them a chance, but it was Malira who paid the ultimate price to free a Johnny from Phyrexia's grasp. Damn it, can we just kill this thing? Why do we have to sacrifice Malira to save a Johnny? Just not cool with that. Anyway, moving on. You want to save somebody. I'm going to take a second here. You want to save somebody. Save Vraska and Jace. As much as I love Vraska and really hate how they portrayed Jace, those two deserve better. Just gonna put that out there. Anyway, moving on. So Elspeth Smite, 1 white, deals 3 damage, target attacking or blocking creature. If that creature would die this turn, exile instead. Basic removal spell for white. Probably gonna be good and limited about it. Next we have, it's a Tali, the Primal Conqueror. So this 2 red, 5 colorless, 7/7 monstrosity has trample. And when it enters the battlefield, each player exile a card from the top of their library until they exile a non-land card. You may cast any number of spells from among non-land exile cards. You may cast any number of spells from among the non-land cards exiled this way without paying their mana cost. And again, Commander guys, calm down. I can hear you hooping and hollering already. But yeah, definitely a big Commander card. And for a green and 9, you can transform it into an 11/11 trampling indestructible monstrosity that, whenever it deals combat damage to a player, they get that many poison counters. So I was wrong. They did not reprint Blightsteel Colossus. However, hello, Blightsteel Colossus. Moving on. Next we have Mirrodin Avenged. 1 black. Destroy target creature this turn that was dealt damage. Draw a card. Basic reprint of a card that does the same thing with a different name. And it's, Elesh Norn's head. So Seal from Existence. 2 white and 1 enchantment. Ward 3. Wow, an enchantment with ward. When it enters the battlefield, exile target non-land permanent and opponent controls until the existence leaves the battlefield. So a good white removal spell. Unfortunately, 2 white will make it a little hard to play. But in limited and other mono whitish decks, this is going to be a good removal spell. It targets non-land permanents. Next, we have Traumatic Revelation. Black and 1 sorcery. Target opponent reveals their hand. You may choose a creature or battle from it. If you do, that player discards that card. If you don't, incubate 3. 5 mana for a 3/3. Probably at best limited play. And then we have, Invasion of Ikoria. How'd I do that? Moving on. Invasion of Fioria. So 2 black and 4. This thing has a siege of 4, and when it enters the battlefield, you choose one or both. Destroy all legendary creatures and or all non-legendary, so you can pick or just kill everything. Pretty sweet. And when you kill it, you get Marcheska, Resolute Monarch. Hello, 3/6 menace, death touch. When she attacks, remove all counters from up to 1 target permanent. Kills anything, sieges, planeswalkers. And at the beginning of your upkeep, if you haven't been dealt combat damage since your last turn, you draw a card, lose a life. This is absurd. This is going to see standard play. I know it's 6 mana, and I don't care. There's going to be an Esper deck somewhere. It's going to be playing this monstrosity because it's just too good. And in limited, this thing is just going to win you the game. Next we have the Invasion of New Phyrexia. Oh, look at there. Blue, white, and X. It's a siege of 6. When it enters the battlefield, create X 2/2 white and blue knight creature tokens with Vigi. That's a powerhouse. So for 4 mana, you get 2 2/2s. That's right on rate. For 5 mana, you get 3 2/2s. That's even better. For 6 mana, it just gets absurd. And once you kill this thing, you get to bust out old Teferi. Akos of Zafar. Anyway, he comes in with 4 loyalty, +1, draw 2 cards, and discard 2 cards unless you discard a creature card. That's weird. His -2 anyway is you get an emblem. Well, you get an emblem at -2 with knights you control get +1/+0 and have ward 1, or comes in real handy with the fact he's made a bunch of knights. And -3, tap X creatures you control. When you do, shuffle target non-land permanent and opponent controls mana value X or less into its owner's library. This is an amazing Teferi. This is literally a white-blue control deck with a card that not only gets you creatures but makes a planeswalker for the kill, creatures for the kill. It's like peanut butter and jelly, if you will. This is going to be a thing. Moving on, we have Boonbringer Valkyrie, 2 white and 3 for a 4/4 with backup 1. And it has, so for 5 mana, you can get a 5/5 flying first striking lifelinker, which is absurd. Which also means for 5 mana, you can get a 4/4 flying first striking lifelinker, put a +1/+1 counter on anything else, and make it a +1/+1 onto whatever monstrosity it already is, flying first striking lifelinker. This is going to be insane and limited, amazing in Commander, and it's probably going to even see some standard play to some degree because it's just too good. Next we have the Archpriest of Shadows, 2 black and 3 for a 4/4, backup 1. It has Death Touch. So 5/5 Death Toucher for 5. That whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player or battle, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Or you could do that on 2 cards with a +1/+1 counter on something. This is another nuts card. Just like the white one. I think there's going to be this is Archpriest of Shadows, Human Warlock. The other one was, alright, so whatever this cycle is, because it's not really named, is going to be absurd for every color. Because I think there's going to be one in every color. Next we have Botanical Brawler. Sounds like my shop teacher who did a dual class with botany. Anyway, point being, white-green for a 0/0. It has trample. Enters the battlefield with 2 +1/+1 counters on it. And whenever 1 or more +1/+1 counters are put onto another permanent you control, if it's the first time +1/+1 counters are put onto that permanent, this turn put a +1/+1 counter on the Botanical Brawler. Yep. More counters. Moving on. Halo Forager. Black and blue and 1 for a 3/1. Flying. When it enters the battlefield, you may pay X. When you do, you may cast target instant or sorcery spell with mana. Instant or sorcery card, with mana value X from your graveyard without paying its mana cost. If that spell will be put in the graveyard, exile. Wow, so it's a 3/1 flying Snapcaster. It's a 3/1 flying Snapcaster mage, because, I mean, if you snap, you have to pay the cost that's on the card in the graveyard anyway. It just doesn't snap. This is good. I'm not sure why this is uncommon. This is going to be great in a lot of formats and may even see some abuse in, maybe not Eternal because of the mana cost, but this just has lots of potential. God, this is disgusting. Anyway, moving on. I'll not dwell on that. Next, we have Kami of Whispering Hopes. Whispered Hopes. Green and 2 for a 1/1. If 1 or more +1/+1 counters we put on a permanent you control this turn, blah, blah, blah. You may put that many +1/+1 counters +1 instead. Tap, add X mana of any one color, where X is the Kami of Whisper Hope's power. Oh, this is going to see play. Commander, Standard, Limited, Eternal formats that have combo decks. Yeah, tons of play. Next we have Norn's Inquisitor, white and 1 for a 1/1. When the Inquisitor enters the battlefield, you incubate 2. Okay, it's okay. Whenever a permanent you control transforms into a Phyrexian, put a +1/+1 counter on this. Limited. Probably all-star if you got some kind of weird Phyrexian incubate thing going on. Next we have the Scrappy Bruiser. That's trash panda. Anyway, so we have a Raccoon Warrior. It's a red and 3. It's 3/4. Whenever the bruiser attacks, up to one target attacking creature gets +2/+0 and gains trample to end of turn. Return that creature to the owner's hand at the end of combat. So we can kind of make this a 5/4 if you want to pick it up. But I can see some useful shenanigans to this. But yeah, so it's probably going to be some kind of combo, rear decks, commander, maybe limited, ETB triggers. All right, next we have the C-Pod Caretaker, white and 2 for a 2/2. When it enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on target artifact or creature you control, i.e. this thing, or transform target incubator token you control. That could be really handy. We have a 3-mana 2/2 that's going to basically let you transform something into a 3/3 or bigger incubated token. That's pretty sweet. Probably just a limited all-star though at best, but I mean, who knows? We'll have to wait and see what kind of weird incubation we have going on. It's weird to say that. Feels weird coming out the mouth. So, Essence of Orthodoxy. Talk about weird coming out the mouth. Anyway, 2 white and 3 for a 3/3 flyer. That's a bit much. Whenever it or another Phyrexian enters the battlefield under your control, incubate 2. Never mind, this is fine. So, speaking of incubate shenanigans, this is going to be an amazing limited card. I'm not sure about standard 5 mana. It does seem a bit much. I mean, we got the other white card for 5 mana that does way more than this. I mean, maybe for the Phyrexian deck and Commander? I don't know. Let's wait and see. So, thanks a lot, guys. Man, that was a lot to go over. 61 cards to preview, not counting the Commander cards I didn't list in here. Let's see what tomorrow has to offer. Ooh, thanks for sticking around, those who did. Now's a good time to subscribe to help support the channel. Thank you very much. As always, you want to do more to help the channel, there's links in the description. Till next time, be kind. And as always, I hope to see you across from the game table.